Welcome everyone, Costin here on Serious Gaming, bringing guys and girls an analysis of the AI Skirmish video released by Creative Assembly close to 10 days ago, featuring a skirmish battle between Macedon and Rome. The Macedonians were controlled by Studio Communications Manager Al Bickham. He's the guy who talks to the press quite a bit. He's a good talker, but he's not that great of a player. I'm sorry to say that, but let's just say I would call him a rookie, and that's putting it mildly. And the Romans were controlled by very hard AI. The Macedonian army consisted of 2 shield-bearer units, 1 hoplite unit, 2 slingers, 1 peltast unit, 4 Thessalian cavalry unit, and a unit of companion cavalry, which was the general's unit. So I'm going to assume that you're not going to be able to recruit companion cavalry as a regular unit in the campaign or at all in Total War Rome 2. Instead, they'll just be limited to being the general's bodyguard, which would make sense historically considering we're talking about the Macedonians and their companion cavalry. Anyway, the Roman army consisted of 3 Velites units, skirmishers, 3 Hastati, 3 Principes, 2 Triarii, 2 Equites, as well as the Legatus, their general. It might seem imbalanced, and quite a lot of people said that the battle is actually imbalanced, skewed in Rome's favor, but I would disagree quite sharply with that argument and simply say this. Yes, the Romans have more infantry units, and overall they do have more troops and more units. They have an advantage of 3 units over the Macedonians. However, the Macedonians, while they don't have as much infantry, and they're actually outnumbered by a factor of 2.7 in regards to their infantry, the Macedonians do have those 2 units of shield bearers, which are quite very difficult to take down. They're cracked troops. Yes, they're not Macedonian phalanxes, but they're very tough troops. And in fact, during Alexander the Great's conquest of Persia, the Hypaspists, that's how they were known in ancient Greek, the Hypaspists, shield bearers, would be put on the flanks of his phalanx because they were more mobile than the phalangites, and thus they were able to deal with flanking attacks much better. This resulted in them coming under a great deal of pressure during many battles. The phalangites, they're pretty much invulnerable, nigh on invulnerable when you're attacking them from the front, especially with the Persian light infantry. However, the Hypaspists less so, and since they were covering the flanks of Alexander's army, they would face the brunt of the enemy infantry, and they resisted. They were very good troops, very well trained, very well equipped, and so on and so forth. And during this battle, the skirmish battle, they resisted a lot of pressure from the Roman army. And in fact, if Mr. Bickham had made good use of his cavalry, which he didn't, then he could have won that battle. Quite easily, in fact, considering what he had to work with. Yes, as I said, outnumbered by a factor of 2.7 by the Romans on an infantry level, but because those units are so tough, and because of the advantage in cavalry, he could have won the battle. Ranged-wise, I'd say it's quite balanced, but I'd give a slight advantage to the Macedonians in regards to range. I mean, the slingers probably do less damage, very likely do less damage than the Velites, but they have a lot more ammunition and they have a lot more range. So, as far as I'm concerned, ranged-wise, the Macedonians win. Only slightly, however. Cavalry-wise, there's no fucking contest. Thessalian cavalry against Equites, the Thessalians are going to trash those Equites back into the Stone Age easily. And they outnumbered the Equites on a 2-to-1 level. So if Mr. Bickham had played his cards right, if he hadn't wasted his cavalry, especially on the right flank, he could have won this battle quite easily, in fact. Anyway, to talk about the AI and its issues as well as improvements that I saw versus Shogun 2. Issues, well, the waste of the Roman legionnaire pilum. The legionnaires, the Hastati and Principes, throw their pilum against the Macedonian slingers and peltasts. That's a waste. Instead of saving them for the phalanxes, for the hoplites and the shield bearers, they throw them against the slingers and peltasts. That's really a big waste. I know it's not really an AI issue since throwing the pilum happens automatically, but really it's still an issue as far as I'm concerned, though it's not strictly an AI issue. Second issue is that once the Macedonian left wing, the Macedonian cavalry on the left flank of their army, once they engage the Roman equites on the Roman right flank, the Roman army becomes a disorganized mess. It sends a hastati unit from the Macedonian right flank, the Roman left flank respectively, all the way to the other side of the battlefield to help the equites and the Principes unit there fight against the two Thessalian cavalry units. And that's really a dumb move. Why the hell would you send a hastati unit from the other side of the battlefield to deal with cavalry units? I do appreciate the fact that the AI did take note of the cavalry attack there, and it did appreciate the fact that the Roman right wing needed help against the Macedonian left wing. But seriously, marching a hastati unit from across the battlefield, really dumb move. And also, to add to that, the Roman army, the Roman legionnaires, don't attack the Macedonian phalanx as the disciplined force that they were historically, but rather as an unruly mob with no sense of formation. Like really, their formation by that point is a broken mess. And that's probably the biggest problem I have with AI in this video. It's something that AI has always had an issue with, maintaining cohesion and formation and so on. I attribute this to the fact that the Total War AI is trying to dynamically adapt to the changing battlefield situation. And it overreacts as far as I see it. And it's not reacting as it should. It destroys its own formations. It turns its disciplined army into this unruly mob. And it's just not able to handle the changing battlefield situation all that well. And that's a really big problem. Once the Roman legionnaires engage the phalanx head-on, I might add, they manage to hit it from the sides as well. I don't attribute this to an AI move, though, rather to how the crowds work in Total War Rome 2. I should point out that there was almost nothing stopping the AI from actually taking a legion, hastati or Principes, or even a Triaria unit, and just marching it right in the back of the Macedonian shield bearers and hoplites, and then hitting them from the back. There was certainly the general with the companion cavalry, but let's just face it, he was outnumbered, and the Macedonian phalanx hoplites were outnumbered by this point. So there was really not much stopping the AI from doing that, and yet they didn't when it would have given them such a massive tactical advantage. There are some good signs in the sense that the AI disengaged its equites on its left flank, respectively the Macedonian right flank, fairly early on from the woods, sent them all, marched them across the battlefield behind the Macedonian line, and engaged the Macedonian ranged units from behind. That was a good sign, good move there, certainly an improvement. Also, it seems to me that the AI is using its general better than it did in Shogun 2, throwing out buffs, keeping him disengaged from the battlefield. Though the AI in Shogun 2 also did that, it's only when you had large-scale battles especially with multiple generals, that the AI would suicide its generals, something the AI of Shogun 2 is famous for. Probably the best sign, though, is the fact that the AI attacked at all, actually. Because the Shogun 2 AI had a tendency to camp, really. I'm not talking here about hill camping, I'm just talking about camping in general. Whereby the AI, if you gave it ranged units, especially, would just not attack. It would not even march across the battlefield to meet in the middle. So it's a good sign that the AI did engage the Macedonians head-on. It had more units, it had an advantage in terms of infantry, it saw this, it attacked, good. The way I see it, unless you have the superior numerical advantage against AI, they should attack you head-on and meet you in an open field battle. If the numbers are pretty even between you and the AI, what the AI should do is, yes, it should engage you on an open field, but if you decide to camp on a hill, then it shouldn't march up that hill, because that's just stupid. Instead, it should wait for you on the open field, or maybe march on a hill itself then. and wait for you to attack or wait for you to get down the hill, then it would meet you in the open field battle. That's what I think the AI should do. Don't attack an enemy who has better numbers than you do, or about the same numbers as you do when he's camped on a hill. Don't camp on a hill when you have even numbers as the enemy, or even superior numbers. I've seen that happen in Shogun 2. There are slight improvements. I would hope that there's less camping, though you can't determine that just based on a single open field battle. Less general suicide. There are some encouraging signs. There are also some negative signs, though these are problems that were in Total War games long before Rome 2. But anyway, slight improvements. And on a final note, I would like to point out that the AI did not keep any reserves. As some people commented, and even Al Bickham, as he was playing the battle, he said he was worried about the Roman reserves. Those were the velites that the AI was keeping behind his legionnaires, and the AI was keeping them behind the legionnaires because he was using them as ranged units, which they are. There were no Roman reserves in that battle, which is good. The AI took all its units, it engaged the enemy head on, and it did some flanking maneuvers, not as much as I would have liked. But, there are, as I said, encouraging signs, but nothing really revolutionary as I see it. It's not that huge of a step above the Shogun 2 AI. That's fine as far as I'm concerned, because the Shogun 2 battle AI was fairly decent. It got the job done. I still think that if Darth Vader is going to make a Darth mod version for Rome 2, he's going to make an AI that is vastly superior to the vanilla AI of Total War Rome 2, but he's done that for every Total War game since he started modding Empire. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Costin here signing out. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more.